It's 3 a.m. You hear a strange noise from your car engine on the way to work. A tooth starts throbbing. HR sends a company-wide email with the subject line, "Important Announcement." And before anything has even happened, before you know if any of it is serious, you already feel it. That weight in your chest, that sick, hollow feeling. Not because the disaster arrived, but because you already know your bank account can't handle it if it does. That feeling has a name: financial fragility. And it's not just uncomfortable, it quietly shapes every decision you make, every single day. There is one number that almost completely eliminates that feeling, and it's much closer than most people think. That number is $10,000. Not retirement money, not set for life money, just 5 figures sitting quietly in a savings account. Most people treat 10K as a minor checkpoint on the way to real wealth, something to take off before moving on to the real goals. They're wrong. Crossing that line creates one of the biggest psychological shifts you'll ever experience with money. And the reason comes down to something most financial content never talks about. Because the real power of $10,000 isn't what you lets you buy. It's what it permanently removes from your life. To understand why, you need to understand how most people are actually living. When your bank balance is close to zero, every single day becomes a game of defense. Think about the last time you walked through a grocery store with a tight budget. You weren't choosing the best food, you were doing math, standing in the pasta aisle calculating whether the cheaper brand would stretch another 2 or 3 days. When a friend texts you about dinner plans, your first reaction isn't excitement. It's a quick mental calculation. Can I afford this without messing up rent? Even small, random things start to feel threatening. An unexpected subscription charge, a parking ticket, a slightly higher electric bill. Each one feels like it could tip the whole system. So you check your banking app constantly, not to plan or track progress, but just to confirm nothing went wrong overnight. That background hum of financial stress becomes the wallpaper of your life. You stop noticing it consciously, but it never really turns off. And that's the trap. You're spending so much mental energy just trying not to sink that you never get the chance to actually swim. And here's the part that most people don't realize. This isn't just feeling stressed. Your brain literally changes when money is tight. Researchers have studied this directly. When people feel financially unstable, their brains begin treating money problems the same way they'd treat a physical threat, like something dangerous is lurking just around the corner. When that happens, the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for planning, reasoning, and long-term thinking, starts to go quiet. Instead of thinking about next month, next year, or the next decade, your brain becomes fixated on surviving the next 72 hours. That's why financial stress reliably causes impulsive decisions, difficulty sleeping, arguments with partners over small things, trouble focusing at work, procrastinating on important tasks. It's not a character flaw, it's not laziness. It's a brain that genuinely believes it's in danger. And a brain in danger doesn't think about strategy, it thinks about escape. Now picture this. Tomorrow morning, you start your car and the check engine light comes on. If you have no savings, that single light triggers a cascade. Your mind immediately starts running worst-case scenarios. How much will this cost? What if I can't afford it? What if I can't get to work? What if I lose my job? What if... Your entire day is hijacked. You sit in meetings thinking about it. You're distracted through dinner. You lie awake that night running numbers that don't add up. But with $10,000 sitting in a savings account, that exact same moment plays out completely differently. The light comes on, you notice it. You roll your eyes a little. You call a mechanic, schedule the repair, and mentally file it away. And then you move on with your day, fully present for everything else in your life. Same event, completely different experience. That shift from full-blown panic to mild annoyance is one of the most underrated things money can do for a person. Because the moment your brain stops perceiving a threat, your entire capacity to think, create, plan, and connect comes back online. And once that pressure disappears, something else starts to happen most people don't anticipate. You start seeing opportunities that were completely invisible before.
A course that costs $2,000, the chance to start a small side business, a career change that requires 6 months of lower income while you build new skills, leaving a job that's burning you out for one that pays less but gives you room to grow. Without savings, each of those looks impossible, too risky, too uncertain, too far from the security of a guaranteed paycheck. But with money in the bank, that exact same opportunity starts to look like a calculated bet. You realize you have a runway, you have options, you have room to try something and recover if it doesn't work. Without savings, you're mostly reacting to whatever life throws at you. With savings, you can start actually choosing what comes next. This shift also changes something more subtle, but just as powerful. Your confidence changes, and other people can feel it. When someone is living paycheck to paycheck, their job stops feeling like a career and starts feeling like a lifeline. They tolerate managers they hate. They avoid difficult conversations. They don't ask for raises they've earned. Because deep down, they know that losing this income, even temporarily, would create instant chaos. But when you have a real financial cushion, your posture changes. You walk into a negotiation knowing that if it doesn't go well, you have time to find something better. You give honest feedback because you're not terrified of the response. You ask for what you're worth because you're not operating from desperation. And people, bosses, clients, partners can sense that difference. There's something about someone who genuinely doesn't need the deal that makes them far more effective at closing it. That calm confidence often creates better outcomes in ways that are almost impossible to put a number on. But here's what almost nobody talks about when it comes to saving money. Getting to $10,000 isn't really about math, it's about identity. Most people approach saving the same way they approach dieting. They get motivated, cut everything aggressively, feel miserable for a few weeks, and then quietly give up and go back to how things were before. The problem isn't willpower, it's that their identity never changed. They were still a person who spends. They were just temporarily forcing themselves to act differently. But people who actually reach $10,000 make a different kind of shift. They stop saying, I'm trying to save money, and start thinking, genuinely believing, I'm the kind of person who keeps money. That's not a small change. That's a complete reframe. The reward stops being the purchase, it becomes the balance itself. Watching that number grow starts to feel better than spending it. Security starts to feel better than stuff. And once that mindset clicks into place, savings stops feeling like sacrifice. It starts feeling like control, like proof of who you're becoming. There's also a very practical reason why $10,000 is such a meaningful number. It covers almost every common financial emergency that real people actually face. Meet your car repairs, unexpected medical or dental bills, emergency flights home, a broken furnace or water heater, a month of lost income. The vast majority of these events fall well below 5 figures, so when you reach $10,000, something concrete happens. You stop being financially fragile. One bad day, one unlucky week no longer has the power to derail your entire financial life. Problems still happen, life is still unpredictable, but those problems stop controlling you. You absorb them and keep moving. That's what financial resilience actually looks like in practice. So if $10,000 is so transformative, why do so few people actually get there? Almost always, it's not income, it's the absence of a system. A small lifestyle upgrade after every raise, subscriptions that were supposed to be temporary and never got canceled, impulse purchases that felt completely harmless in the moment. None of these feel significant on their own, but together over months and years, they quietly prevent the balance from ever climbing. Wealth rarely disappears in one dramatic mistake. It almost always leaks out slowly, in increments too small to notice until you check the balance and wonder where it all went. If your savings account has a few $100s in it right now, $10,000 can feel impossibly far away. But here's what I want you to understand. The person who eventually reaches that number isn't the same version of you who's starting today. You become a different person through the process of getting there. You don't need to see the entire path. You just need the next step. The first $100, then $500, then your first $1,000. Once the habit is in place, the momentum builds on its own. The identity starts to solidify, and the target that seemed impossible starts to feel inevitable. The first $10,000 doesn't just change your bank balance, it changes how the world feels when you wake up in the morning. The anxiety that used to greet you every day, it gets quiet. The opportunities you couldn't see before, they start appearing. Once you know what that kind of financial breathing room actually feels like, you will spend the rest of your life protecting it. If this one connected with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes the most useful thing you can do for someone isn't advice, it's showing them the path exists.